Whoever said it's not whether you win or lose that counts probably lost. Ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, this is Modern Escapism. Welcome to this week's show. I'm your host with the least, Gadget, and joining me this week are Glittering Losers. Nominated for Best Actress but pipped to the post by Michelle Yeoh, it's Candy.
Hello. She deserves it.
And nominated for Game of the Year by mistake, he's still pissed that Elden Ring got it, it's Biggie.
Robbed. Yes. Hello.
Unfortunately, at the Biggies last week, Oodles slapped Stig on stage, resulting in Oodles being locked up and Stig in a full body cast with a world record 192 bones broken at the same time, so they won't be able to join us tonight. We shall mock them mercilessly, as is tradition.
Yeah, without those waffle nuggets, we can probably get this done in about 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Early bus home. This week, you're going to hear us talk about media that was robbed of big gongs at the Glittering Awards ceremonies. And you'll also hear about some things we did this week in the Nexus. But before all that, he suffered controversy this week for his political views on Twitter, but he refuses to step down for the good of the dark money men that keep us going. It's Biggie's breaking news.
You may already know, but he doesn't, because it's time for Biggie's breaking news.
Yes, so first up, The Last of Us co-creator and longtime Naughty Dog game director, Bruce Straley, has sparked a developer debate on social media after declaring that linear games are easier to make. He posted, "Linear games just easier to make." There, I said it.
Are you saying linear or linear?
Linear. It just depends where you're from. In the South, we say it differently.
Candy, you're in the South. Is that a thing?
Sure.
Oh,
Linear, we say here.
So, this came from the titles that basically have a set path, like, for example, in Uncharted Drake's Fortune, take less of a toll on teams than giant open-world releases, such as Horizon Forbidden West. Several developers agree with the point, and many fans are also pointing out that they prefer more guided experiences overall. One person said, "Easier to make, more creatively interesting, and on a time sucked to play. Sounds like a win-win to me." Then Strady went on to say, in a further tweet, "Lol, y'all are nuts. I didn't think this is such a controversial topic, nor did I say one design style was better than the other. But you fools."
I mean, I think what Bruce Straley's tried to say, and he's absolutely butchering it, is that when you make a linear game, you orchestrate things, like you direct the player through scenarios rather than like an open world game where you just kind of have to let the player find the fun or the activities. So in that respect, I think it's probably easier to design. I can't imagine The Last of Us Part 2 was an easy game to make in any way, shape or form. But certainly from a design perspective, it's like, yeah, you just got a point A, a line to point B, some shit happens in the middle, there's your level. You know? I think that's what he's getting at.
Yeah, that's what I took from it. I think it's kind of a no-brainer that it would be not easier to make, but like you said, simpler. But it sounds like people have chimed in and said, yeah, but linear games are better, or but open world games are better. That's not what you were saying, was it?
No.
I mean, both do have their merits. And I do love both, because obviously Fallout, that's the most open world you can get, really. But I love The Last of Us as well. But as from a design point of view, surely it must be easier. You don't have to account for all these.
So much could go wrong in an open world. Things have to interact with each other and doing things at a different time. How does that affect something further in the game or later or at the same time? And there's a lot to think about.
That's the funny thing as well. The Last of Us Part 2, like each level was kind of its own little open world. There weren't many kind of direct linear paths through that game. You go to one level and I'm thinking like the Seattle level at the beginning is fucking huge and non-linear, but fair enough. Wait, I've got to do the thing next.
Thank you. Sony has been ordered to pay refunds after an Austrian court ruled that FIFA Ultimate Team is a form of gambling. The controversial game mode sees players spending money on digital packs, etc. These can then be traded, sold for in-game currency and used to make teams. But games Wirtschaft reports the small court in Hermagor filed in favour of several FIFA players who took Sony to court in 2020. It should be noted that PlayStation doesn't make the football game, but it does take a cut on all the transactions conducted through the PlayStation Store. And obviously that includes FIFA packs. The plaintiffs, including one minor, argued that they gambled away €400 in the game, and lawyer Ulrich Saulberg said that the random nature of the rewards violated the country's gambling laws. As a result, Sony's been ordered to pay back, at the moment, €438, but is yet to comment on the ruling. While the sums aren't exactly eye-watering for a company, interesting to see whether this sets a precedent for FIFA Ultimate Team moving forwards.
I don't see why Sony are being dragged into it. Sure, you'd be going after EA for this.
I suppose they give them the green light. Ultimately, it's Sony's decision to whether to have gambling on their platform or not.
Yeah, like Sony are going to say no.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. That's why they're in court now, probably. But yeah, no, good. I'm glad they're getting sued for it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if other companies pick it up. Yeah.
I think just that we just need to get past this whole loot box lifestyle for games, especially with Ultimate Team. Like, you've got to buy the FIFA game to play the fucking game in the first place. I'm a little bit more forgiving on it in free-to-play games because they've got to make their money somehow. But when you've got a game that sells by the bucket load in the first place, having a microtransaction funnel into your bank account is just wrong, I think.
My issue is, even with free games, I don't mind microtransactions and them having a game store, but I just want to be able to see how much you're paying and what you're getting. Like, that leaves the decision down to you, right? Maybe it's expensive. I'll spend my birthday money or something on getting a fucking pink gun. But you know what? You get. You don't want to say, I spend 20 quid on loot crates and then hopefully I might have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting this pink gun.
Yeah.
The trouble is as well, they never have the actual price either. They'll say, oh, it's 500 crowns or it's 500 fucking shitters or whatever.
Yeah.
Just so you can't like immediately compare it to how much you're actually spending. So it's that, which is predatory anyway. And then I think that some of like the games, like, is it Diablo, for the amount that you have to spend to have a fully leveled character? And
it's thousands.
Somebody went through the fee. I think it's like 60 grand to get the Ultimate Team.
Yeah, I mean, I think what should be put in, I mean, if companies insist on having these things in, which they're going to because they want the money, I think there should be like an easy way to see in your account what your total spend is on the game. Like, because it's very easy, and it's the same with kind of gambling or raffles or anything like that. Like, it's very easy for you to just kind of keep putting a couple of quid in here, a couple of quid in there. But if you could like look in FIFA Ultimate Team and like you go, oh god, this season I've put in £5,000, you'd sharp realise that you have a problem, you know?
Yeah.
And if you can afford it and you don't care about that, fine. But some like it will be a good thing for parents as well. A parent can go in and say, oh, what's little Timmy been doing? He spent $500 dues, that kind of thing.
Call of Duty's got a weird one at the minute where it's not loot boxes as such, but there's loads of packs that you can purchase to get better skins for your guns, but they cost like something like 16 quid to get a couple of blueprints, but they're only available for certain weapons that you can have in the game. So it's not like the skin can go on all your guns.
Right.
So if you wanted to have all these cool looking stuff, then you probably have to again pay hundreds and hundreds just so you can have all these guns looking nice and pretty or however you want them. It's just mad. Absolutely mad.
The worst one I think I've ever encountered is CS:GO, because in that you earn loot boxes at a kind of pretty prodigious rate. You get them quite easily, but you have to pay to unlock them because you have to buy a key for them. So so every time you go into your profile, there's like this little thing saying you've got 10 loot boxes. And it's just
that's evil.
Yeah, but I'm not paying 25 quid for 10 keys because they're like £2.50 each.
I'd fall for that one.
Yeah, to get.
I know they're there. I can open it.
It's like a FOMO thing, yeah, but it's like I'm not paying £2.50 to open like a common camo for a fucking assault rifle or some shit like that. Oh, it's so fucking predatory. Reet, next.
Sony's had some other issues with its legacy systems. The PS3 and PS Vita have been having wobblies on the store. There are widespread reports all around the world, apparently, of purchased games not downloading properly from the PlayStation Store. It's unclear what the exact cause is. PS3 received a firmware update recently, which could potentially be related. But people are getting error messages, having to repeatedly try and download it a million times until it starts to actually finally download. It's just not looking good for the legacy.
Dear.
Yeah, I mean, how many people is this affecting? Are a lot of people still using their PS3s?
I don't know so much about PS3s, but Vita definitely is still a popular handheld for a lot of people.
Yeah, but isn't that because people are modding it and like putting stuff onto it?
Yeah, you can do, but again, you still anything you purchase on the store, it's still a bit of a faff to download if it's playing up.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you would think that like the stores having been open this long, Sony would they would work.
That'd be too much to ask.
It would be too much to ask, clearly.
Oh, my phone's going. Hold on. Hello?
Fucking rude. Unprofessional.
Yes, mate. No, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Yeah. I've got to go. Huh? Microsoft offered Sony 8% of the market share for a 10-year agreement for far better terms than Sony would ever get from Activision. Is that right?
You dick.
They would have had long-term access to Call of Duty. I don't know why you're telling me this now. And the CEO said of Sony that I don't want a new Call of Duty deal, I just want to block your merger. Oh,
you
weird.
dick.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'll speak to you soon once the pod's finished. Bye.
He's done it again.
Where were we?
You absolute dick.
Sorry, I got lost. Moving on. Sorry about that. I'm in the middle of a pod. Warner Brothers and Rocksteady have delayed Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League once again from May to later this year, according to is there a person familiar? I don't know what that means. A showcase of the game during a PlayStation stream last month was poorly received by fans, wasn't it? Just
it was, and it's also telling that it's delayed. It's not like from May. It's to a certain date. It's delayed to just later this year. As in, they don't know what they're going to do to fix this. I think. I mean, I don't know what they could possibly do with this. I mean, people weren't excited by the gameplay. Some people were, and fine, fair enough. Like, if it looks like your kind of game, great. I wonder if they're going to try taking out some of the battle pass elements and the store stuff on it, because that's the one I saw that there was loads of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, the gameplay looks like it's shite" or whatever, but there were so many more people going, "Why have you got a fucking store in this game?" This game that we will have to pay 70 quid to get.
Stig said, wasn't it last week, about the reception to Guardians, where Avengers, obviously, people didn't like the look of the characters, all that sort of stuff, expected more closer to the film. And obviously they can't get the likenesses. And then all that furor that came out of how that game played and the missions and end game stuff. And then Guardians still came out when it was supposed to. And it was actually a relative success, critically at least.
It wasn't just a relative success. It sold really well and people really enjoyed it. I think with this is different, because I don't think people are really complaining that much about the kind of the story concept or the presentation of the characters. I think people are really complaining about the gameplay. Whereas with the Guardians thing, that was different, because people were like, "Oh, this is not my Avengers. Where's me Chris Pratt?" You know.
There's been so many different iterations of DC characters though so far, whereas Marvel we've kind of only seen in film form the actors we're used to. So I think people are more open to seeing sort of different, the B team, shall we say, versions.
Yeah. I mean, it absolutely chilled my enthusiasm for the game, but let's see what they do. I mean, it was all we can do.
Agreed.
Next.
Private Divisions pledged that the latest upgrade for the Spacer's Choice edition of The Outer Worlds would run at a smooth 4K 60 frames per second as being premature. Next-gen version of the satirical 2019 RPG, released recently, has already accrued a mostly negative rating on Steam, with numerous players complaining of performance issues in the newly remastered game. Comments have come as much as it runs far worse than the original version of the game. They said the improved look of the game is not worth the massive perf drops and stutters that weren't there before. Someone else said, as someone who was playing the OG version right up until this version downloading, I can safely say they've made a right pig's ear of this remake.
Nice.
And it's also on the consoles as well, allegedly, with the PS5 upgrade, particularly having frame rate issues. I
mean, I guess the funniest part of that is when is the the motto for Space's Choice in the game is "You've tried the best, now choose the rest." So calling it the Space's Choice edition, it seems appropriate for this.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's ironic.
I mean, the thing is, the Outer Worlds is a great game. It's not quite up to the Fallout tiers, but it's a fun kind of space comedy shooter thing with some good characters and good moments. It didn't really need a next gen upgrade. It looked fine enough as it was.
Mm.
And it's supposed to add all the ray tracing and stuff like that, but yeah, it's like the game's kind of ugly in that kind of AA PS4 era kind of game. It's like it's got a bit of jank to it. It was never a perfectly running game. I don't think they needed to do this, and they've just kind of fucked themselves over.
Jumping on the bandwagon a bit. Do you think Obsidian may be spreading themselves a little bit thin at the moment?
I don't think there would be much of Obsidian's work in that. I think that's probably more of a private division thing to give it and try and give it another lease on life. But I think because
they are working on a fix for it, by the way. They have
Yeah, I think Obsidian themselves are working on the sequel at the minute.
All right, okay. Yeah, they are, and Avowed as well, and Grounded.
And I think probably another Pillars of Eternity. So maybe they are spreading themselves a bit thin. Yeah, it's just that it's stupid. They could have just left it as it was. It's a game that's perfectly fine as a bit of PS4 jank. Or what they should have done is try and focus back to being back to being a PC developer.
Yeah,
because the games that they made back in the day, which were kind of developed for the PC first, and then I'm going back to their early RPG stuff. They're great. But they are
a good studio. We all know that they can do good games.
Oh yeah, but they're almost as bad as Bethesda for putting out dodgy games.
Yeah.
I mean, Fallout New Vegas you've got to mod the shit out of that to get it to work these days.
There were a couple of game breakers as well when it was first released in there. I think there was something to do with the day and night cycle.
That deserves a remake.
New Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, it deserves to be finished. Anyway, sorry, next.
People have been digging around the NVIDIA driver and have discovered that there were references to Counter-Strike 2 were found. And new evidence suggests that this was not a mistake. In fact, sources are now claiming that Counter-Strike 2 is indeed on its way and currently a high priority at Valve, with plans to launch a beta perhaps this month or next.
This was a surprise, but great. I mean, Counter-Strike has been going for decades now at this point. I don't know if many players will want Counter-Strike 2 or they'll want a new version of it, but I don't think it's one of those games that people look for updated graphics or anything like that. They certainly don't look for updated maps, because when I used to play it, they all just used to fucking play on Dust. Just the same level over and over again, because that's the one that everyone can get the good sight lines on. Pissed me off. There's a lot of good maps in that game, but no, everyone's just voting for Dust. Nah. Sorry, I appear to have issues with Counter-Strike.
Struck a nerve there.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Feel free to vent.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'll be interested to see what they do. It's just nice to see Valve making games. Although I'm kind of half expecting it to be riddled with microtransactions again, like Counter-Strike Go, or Team Fortress 2, or Dota. Oh. Makes you sad, doesn't it?
Oh, doesn't it? Not like the good old days.
Where's Half-Life 3, you bastards? Next.
One of the guys at Eurogamer has recently discovered that the voice of the merchant in Resident Evil 4, what are you buying, is not being voiced by the previous guy, Mercia. He didn't voice the remake of Leon in Resident Evil 2 either, so it maybe not come as a surprise, but that was quite an iconic character in Resi 4, and that little quote of his was fantastic.
Are you talking about Matt Mercer?
Is that what it is? It's got Mercier as the way it's written here.
Oh.
I didn't know he was the one that did it.
Well, I know Matt Mercer's done Leon before, but...
oh, you're probably right.
Resident Evil 4...
I'm not going to doubt you.
Remake voice actors. So the merchant is done by Shigeru Chiba. Who did it? Who did him in the original one? So Paul Mercier was Leon Kennedy in the original version.
There you go. Yeah. And he did the voice of the merchant.
He also did the merchant, did he?
He did.
Okay, fair enough. That was a disappointing way to run around things, but okay, fine. I mean, has anyone played?
This is live podcasting, people.
Pre-recorded live podcasting. Has anyone played the demo yet?
Not yet.
No.
Oh.
I've got it downloaded, but I've got it downloaded. I haven't played it yet. I want to, but at the same time, it's just like I want to go into it blind when it comes, but also I'm getting kind of worried that the state of remakes and is this just going to be like bang average but pretty? I've got this worry. It's like this anxiety. Got this anxiety, you know.
I haven't played Resi 4 before either. I'm excited for it. But at the same time, at least I've got nothing to compare it to, though. So
you can always play the original. It's still available, obviously, isn't it? So if people are disappointed, you can always go back to the original.
Yeah, true. So from what I heard people saying, it's more of a it is more of a puzzle than less action than the original. So
I mean, the demo's supposed to be pretty actiony because it's the Chainsaw Man, isn't it?
I don't know.
Apparently, there's a secret ultra hard version in the demo as well.
Yeah, probably. Apparently, you need to work to get it going.
Well up for that.
According to Stig, it needs work to get going on the Steam Deck, though. Apparently, it's a bit rough on the old deck. Put that down to it being a very high-powered game, though.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next.
Lynchworks, the studio behind the stealth action games Origami and Origami 2, has announced its imminent closure following what it calls a particular difficult couple of years. It was founded in 2014 and released its debut title, Origami. 2 years later, it proved successful enough that a sequel arrived in 2021. The studio revealed it started working on a brand new ventures in September last year. However, a message shared on Twitter has announced it will effectively stop development of all new projects indefinitely starting this April.
Oh, that's a shame. Origami's good.
Yeah, great game.
That's a shame.
Maybe Microsoft could acquire them and then get sued. Harming the gamers again.
Yeah, they get sued by IO Interactive so that they don't have domination over the stealth action genre. Next.
News came out this week that Starfield has been cancelled. Delayed to September the 6th, which hasn't surprised anyone really.
No. Do you know what? I'm a little bit concerned. I was a little bit concerned before. I'm a little bit more concerned because I think a lot of people praise delays and say, as long as it comes out in a fixed state. And I think, that goes for one delay, but if it's now been delayed once, twice down the line, that to me spells development hell. And so obviously Cyberpunk got delayed, and that didn't turn out for the better either. It's just that it didn't work.
Still delayed.
So although there was a new a cinematic that came out for it that looked very nice, and a little speech from Todd Howard, and that you can see them playing the game in the background, and what they were playing in the background looks kind of vastly improved from what we saw before.
Yeah,
in the 15-minute thing.
I wouldn't trust too much on that though, because that could just be a vertical slice that they've got to work really well.
Yeah.
I do share your concern.
The one bit.
yeah. I do share your concern with it, especially after Cyberpunk. We were all very excited for that game and incredibly let down by it. And I know it's in a working state now, but it needed another 2 years in the oven to get going.
Yeah.
And I worry this might be the same thing. But, we haven't seen it. I mean, it'll be on Game Pass anyway, so I'm not going to be out any money when it comes out, but still.
Exactly. And then
I want it to be good. I know Oodles is desperate for it to be bad.
Yeah, I know. The one thing that I'm hoping is that Phil Spencer is really making sure it's polished. It's the first time they're working to somebody else's standards now. So I'm hoping that that's the case rather than anything kind of more sinister. But I mean, we might. Well,
he's got some leverage, hasn't he?
yeah. But we're going to see a deep dive in June, is it? When I think June it's when
11th.
Yeah, around 11th, 13th when they normally do their E3 presentation. So we're going to have a deep dive then. So I guess we'll see what there is. But it did look like it was 60 frames per second, whereas before it looked like 30. So
Hopefully.
But yeah, I'm going to enjoy it anyway.
I know you are.
Despite everyone.
So it's you just enjoying all of Todd's love.
Yes, absolutely.
Next.
World of Film and TV. Batman Caped Crusader will now be released by Amazon. The series from J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves, and Bruce Timm was previously developed for HBO Max. The studio has already ordered 2 seasons of the series. The animated series hails from Bruce Timm, Abrams, and Reeves, and was sold to a streaming rival as part of Warner Brothers' recent sellout. Discovery's efforts to monetize content by selling projects to third-party buyers. Batman Caped Crusader was first announced in 2021 and is said to harken back to Timm's 1990s Batman the Animated Series. It stands as a bit of a benchmark for the Dark Knight's animated storytelling. Comic book scribe Ed Brubaker, who is amazing, is among the creative team around the writer's room and serves Timm's right hand on the 10-episode first season. There you go.
I'm into it. Amazon's been crushing it with their animated content recently, and the fact that it's sort of a spiritual follow-on from the animated series, great. I've seen like a couple of pictures of it. The art style looks fantastic.
Does it say who's voicing Batman? Do we know who's voicing Batman yet? Or
wasn't expecting that question, so I haven't got the.
I mean, if it's only just been announced that it's going to Amazon, maybe they don't even have anyone yet. But
yeah, I think they finished writing it. They haven't cast it or started production proper yet. But yeah, I'm into it. I like it. Next. Speaking
of Batman, Beetlejuice 2 is eyeing to begin filming in late May or early June, with Tim Burton expected to direct. Wednesday star Jenna Ortega is also looking to stay in the Tim Burton family. The actor is circling a role in Beetlejuice 2. Multiple sources have told The Hollywood Reporter.
Right, I'm sorry, but did anybody want this? Is there another story to tell for Beetlejuice?
I think there's a load of 35 to 40-year-old Hot Topic wearing people that probably do what they want this.
Is it you, Candy? It's
me. It's me and my mates. I'm open to it. I don't have much hope for it. I don't think Tim Burton's been on his game for the last 15 years.
Well, I mean, we all remember what Dark Shadows was.
Yeah. The less said, the better.
Yeah, I don't see this being good. I mean, I think, didn't someone say that they're trying to get the original Beetlejuice actor back, whose name is escaping me right now?
Michael Keaton?
That's it, Keaton. Yeah. And he was Michael something. I don't know. My brain focused on Chickless, and I know it's not right.
He'd make a good one.
No, he wouldn't. Yeah, another trying to get Michael Keaton back, but like, it's like, is there any enthusiasm for this except from the mid-30s to early 40s goth people?
I think there might be a bit of resurgence, actually, especially if Jenna Ortega is going to be in it, because I heard the rumor she was going to be Lydia's daughter. So I think maybe like the younger crowd that did watch Wednesday and have got a bit more of an interest in Tim Burton now, actually, maybe it will get work.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think it's almost definite that Michael Keaton would be on board, because he said repeatedly that he would love to play Beetlejuice again.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it doesn't matter how much he's aged, because he's under all that makeup. And I think the first time round, you could tell that he had an absolute blast filming it. So I think if anything, the trouble with the original Beetlejuice was that you didn't see Beetlejuice enough. He just wasn't in it. So hopefully they'll actually put him in a bit more this time.
He's only in for like 12 minutes or something.
Yeah. And that's after the audience asked for him to be in it more. So the original cut of that, even less. So Beetlejuice 2, now with more Beetlejuice.
the Beetlejuicing.
Beetlejuice harder? Or?
Yeah, juice harder.
Next.
Funko Pop is chucking an estimated 30 to 36 million of unsold stock into a landfill. The company claims that storing the excess inventory is costing it a fortune. Thus, it's willing to write off the figurines and funnel them into the ground where they'll remain until the end of time. Imagine that in the future. People digging that up and like, what the fuck is this?
Must be some ancient burial ground. They used to worship these things.
I saw this. And it's absolutely disgusting. Like, I mean, I used to collect Funko Pops, and I've kind of been out of it for a long time. But anytime, like, I walk into like Game or into Be More Geek or anything like that, and you see these huge walls of fucking all these characters that are unsold, and like you think you look at them like, why are you doing like these random side background characters from My Hero Academia or some shit like that? You know, it's just like they do so many variants of the same characters or so many random characters, and you think, who's buying this? And it's clear, nobody.
Yeah.
And
I think, to begin with, people did buy them as collector's items, but the thing is, even the rarer ones, they're so mass produced, and there's people out there like me that keep them in the boxes and everything. Like, toys don't. The Star Wars thing is never going to happen again with toys. Like, things are so much more disposable now. Toys aren't made to the same quality as they were. Stop buying toys as an investment, because they are just so mass produced and they end up in tips like this, and we need less plastic in the world, ideally. Yes. But that aside, why are they not giving them to charity? Why are they not giving them for like these Toys for Tots charities that collect gifts and stuff for kids at Christmas that wouldn't normally get presents? Because
by taking them out of circulation, then they're increasing the rarity of some of them.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. That's why they're not putting them on sale or donating them to charities or whatever.
That's gross.
Yeah, it is gross. And I think Funko as a company are a bit gross for this kind of stuff. Like, even just like you look at the amount of different lines of things that they absolutely milk every franchise that they can ink a deal with. I seen what were these new ones, that Funko Soda, and it's just a little figurine that comes in a little soda can, and that's it. But it costs more than a Funko Pop.
What?
And it's smaller, and it's just like, why? Why are you doing this? So yeah, no, not into it. They
don't do a Nuka-Cola one though, do they?
No, I have looked for you.
No, fuck it then.
If I see one, I'll point it out to you.
Thank you.
Next.
Some names for you: David Johnson from Industry, Archie Renault from Shadow and Bone, Spike Fern from Aftersun, and newcomer Eileen Wu have all signed on to star alongside Kaylee Spaney and Isabella Merced in the new Alien film that Fede Alvarez from Evil Dead is directing for 20th Century Studios. It's the 9th entry in the iconic sci-fi horror series. Apparently, a group of young people on a distant world will find themselves in a confrontation with the most terrifying life form in the universe.
Harvey Weinstein?
And Ridley Scott's on to produce.
I mean, as long as Ridley Scott's not directing it, great. Because he should not be allowed near a camera. Yeah, cool. Give us a new Alien film. Make it not made by the people who made the original. See what happens. I don't have high hopes for it, but, Prey proved that you could do it with the Predator, so...
Is it sequel, prequel? Do we know anything? Or
doesn't say. It sounds like it's a new thing.
Right.
I think it's, just judging by that, a group of young people on a distant world find themselves in confrontation with the most terrifying life form in the universe. So that would say to me that it's probably kind of...
terraforming.
Soft reboot, effectively, I think. Or maybe kind of slightly related sequel or interquel or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it gets to a point with the Alien universe where, like, lots of people know about it. Mostly Weyland-Yutani. So, I guess, yeah. I'm interested to see what comes out with it. Next.
John Bernthal is returning to his most punishing role. The actor will reprise Frank Castle, also known as the anti-hero, the Punisher, in Marvel Studios' Daredevil Born Again for Disney+. He joins Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio in the series, which begins shooting in New York this month. It's a departure from all the other Marvel series. It will come at 6 or 9 episodes per season. Born Again is planned as a whopping 18-episode epic.
Jesus.
Writers and exec producers Matt Corman and Chris Ord are behind the show, which is expected to come out in spring of 2024.
I mean, John Bernthal was great in the Punisher show on Netflix. That was a fantastic show.
It still blows my hair back that some of these things are on Disney. It's just the way he presents it, kind of thing. The Punisher wants to kill everyone for killing his wife or whatever it was on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Coming soon to Disney.
I mean, the Netflix Punisher show was brutal. Like it
Yeah.
was one of the heaviest.
What, Cinderella? Here's the Punisher.
Oh God, yeah. Imagine if the recommendation engine goes wrong on that, and they've just watched like Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special or something. Then it's like, now for you and the family, Daredevil born again.
Oh, I hope that happens. That fills me with joy.
Next.
These are not the plans you're looking for. Star Wars has had a bit of a shake-up with Kevin Falafel and Patty Jenkins' movie shelved. Taika Waititi is also looking perhaps to star in his own film as well. Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy announced that the Wonder Woman helmer Patty Jenkins would direct the next Star Wars movie as a one-off adventure, Rogue Squadron. But in September 22, Disney pulled the title from its scheduled December 23 release. And sources with the knowledge of the production say it's no longer active. Variety has also learned that a possible Star Wars feature produced by Marvel Studios' Kevin Falafel is also no longer in active development either. Sources say that Thor: Love and Thunder filmmaker Taika Waititi continues to work on his possible Star Wars feature, and he would most likely have a part in it as well, similar in prominence to a standout role as an imaginary Adolf Hitler in his Oscar-winning 2019 feature Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, Patty
They
Jenkins
can't get it right, can they?
No, I mean, Patty Jenkins has proven Wonder Woman 84 that she should not be allowed near a camera. So fine. I was surprised that Kevin Feige would have enough mental space to get a Star Wars film going, despite everything he does with Marvel. And I'm surprised that after Thor: Love and Thunder, people still have confidence in Taika Waititi.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of been his only stinker, though, hasn't it?
It was a big stinker, though.
It was a big stinker. And
He's not gonna go down
it's
in
hard to stink
Shyamalan's
that up as
route,
well.
is he?
Oh, let's hope not. I haven't lost faith in him yet. I think, it was one stinker, big stinker, but happens to the best of them.
I know the Star Wars fans consistently go off on Kathleen Kennedy and think that she's terrible for the franchise, but okay, fine. Maybe the films weren't looking to be that good. I mean, I'd like a Rogue Squadron film. The Rogue Squadron stories from the old Extended Universe novels were great.
Yeah. Rogue Squadron, yes. Patty Jenkins, no.
Yeah. Plus also like more, if they can do more kind of one-off Star Wars adventure films, like in the vein of like, them doing kind of Mandalorian or Andor or stuff, where you're seeing more of the wider universe. It's not just the Skywalkers, Like Rogue One is probably one of my favorite Star Wars films after Empire.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
This is excellent.
But just like with most things, the TV series are killing it way more than the films are at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's been raving about them. Apart from Book of Boba Fett, apparently everyone hated that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from the bits Pedro Pascal was in.
I think Obi-Wan was kind of mixed reviews as well. I enjoyed it though.
It was all right.
I haven't seen any of them actually. I really do need to watch The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I do.
It is good. I haven't seen the new series yet, but what I've seen, I've really enjoyed.
Next.
Eddie Izzard, who recently invited to become an MP in Sheffield, has announced that she is changing her name to Susie. And it's something she's wanted to do for 51 years. The 61-year-old says the name change fulfills a dream that she's had since the age of 10. I'm Eddie. There's another name I'm going to add in as well, which is Susie, which I wanted to be since I was 10. I'm going to be Susie Eddie Izzard. That's how it's going to roll. There you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Good for her.
I like Eddie though. I think that's a cool name. It goes both ways as well. But I noticed you correct yourself there by saying he, not she.
So
and
easily done and terrible for that.
No. I mean, I'll say they have said it doesn't matter. In their case, not for everyone. In their case, they don't mind if you slip up. They don't mind if you call them Eddie. They don't mind if you call them Susie. It's cool. It's all good.
Yeah. The I think isn't she sticking? I think as a performer, I think she's sticking with Eddie Izzard. I think so because
that's
the recognizable brand, I guess, for her.
Yeah, it makes sense for all the legacy of the stand-up shows.
So you see a poster on the wall for Susie Izzard. You're going, who's that? That's a
yeah.
Maybe.
And I think for the dramatic roles, I don't think I've ever seen them playing a female role. Plenty of male roles though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
So I think just sort of classic gender fluid on that one.
Yeah, but yeah, more power to her. Next.
This was by Stiggy. He says that Christopher Paolini is releasing a new Inheritance Cycle book after the fourth one that came out in 2011. So that's quite a gap.
Yeah, well, he's been writing other things, and I mean, I really enjoyed To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which was a sci-fi book. So I've heard good things about the Inheritance Cycle. I need to actually read it. This fourth one's called Murtaugh, which everyone has made the joke is the fifth book going to be called Riggs. You made the joke, didn't you, Biggie?
I did.
The joke everyone else made.
Like the Mystic Meg one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I made that one.
Next.
Well, on music, sort of. If you've seen the Hawkeye series, it began with the sharpshooting hero attending a Broadway performance of Rogers the Musical with a hilarious, intentionally cheesy Avengers-centric musical number, Save the City, which was penned by Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman. It's clear, apparently, that fans would clamour for an actual stage performance of the all-singing, all-dancing Captain America extravaganza.
Oh, no.
And yes, it's happening, as long as you can make your way to California. Disney has confirmed that this summer will bring performances of an actual Rogers the Musical to the Hyperion stage at California Adventure Park in the original Disneyland Resort. It's described as a limited-time engagement and will be a one-act show, which does imply it will feature additional musical numbers beyond just Save the City.
Oh, God. That sounds like it'll be terrible.
It has
Have
the
you seen
potential to be so
Hawkeye?
bad it's
Have you
good.
seen that?
No, I haven't, no.
It is quite funny, actually, because there's a great shot of Jeremy Renner sitting there as Hawkeye watching the show, just kind of like, where am I in this? And I think they get some character to do it absolutely Ethel on stage. It's quite funny.
Yeah, okay, no, fine, sure. Disney clearly happy to spend their money, I guess.
And
Next.
if you thought that was weird, Weird World of Web, a poll of 2,000 women has ranked Jeremy Clarkson as the UK's sexiest man. The
Candy, as
Diddley
a
Scott
representative-
farm owner.
Candy, as a representative of womankind here, we need to have a conversation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't speak for all women, but I can't see it myself. Who else was on the list?
Well, the farm owner and Grand Tour host beat off competition from the likes of Idris Elba and Ryan Reynolds to the crown. So I'll give you the list.
Who were they asking?
The top 10 is as follows: Jeremy Clarkson, Gary Lineker, Mike Tyndall, Ryan Reynolds, Martin Lewis, Dermot O'Leary,
Martin Lewis?
Idris Elba, Vladimir Zelensky, Michael Arteta, and Charlie Mullins. That's a list. And where's my name, to be fair? Why am I not on there? And why did I not win?
How many women did you say they asked?
2,000.
Were they all in Weatherspoons on a Sunday afternoon? I mean, for fuck's sake.
How is Martin Lewis above Idris Elba?
Yeah, well, people appreciate a man that's good with money these days.
I'm going to say, Biggie, you've left this bit out of it. IllicitEncounters.com, a dating site for extramarital affairs, asked 2,000 of its female members to score a 50-strong list of this year's most famous culturally relevant names from 1 to 10, based on what Illicit Encounters calls their quote-unquote affair factor.
That's even better.
So they're saying that Jeremy Clarkson is basically, he has the face of somebody that's going to cheat on his wife.
Well, it's all that someone's wife would want to cheat with.
If you've been boffing, I've caught you. It's that money saving expert guy.
Fair enough, crack on.
Went for a bit of advice.
I'm doing it for the family, love. You'll thank me in the end.
That's fucking mad. Why? Also, IllicitEncounters.com. Seriously, people, keep it in your pants.
Wow.
This is one of those things that I just like. People get up to whatever they get up to in the bedroom. I think it's pretty shitty when someone puts together a business that is based around having an affair.
Yeah, not to mention I can't get one boyfriend, let alone 3 or 4. Fucking hell. Maybe I need to go on this website.
Oh, let's not open that can of worms. That's not. Candy's dating life is not something we want to spill all over the podcast.
No, it's not. It's not great.
Moving swiftly on.
Oh, God, more.
Yeah, if you think The Last of Us scenario could actually happen, it allegedly could be worse. Whiskey fungus, or Bodonia companicensis, there you go,
Nailed it,
thrives on ethanol vapors and tends to cover nearby surfaces with a black sooty crust that is hard to remove. Several lawsuits have been filed over time against alcohol makers in different countries. A local court in Lincoln County, Tennessee, recently stopped the construction of a new barrel warehouse for Jack Daniels, the world's biggest selling brand of American whiskey. Yeah, this stuff is quite nasty, apparently.
It's how I'd want to go.
So does it make you ill, or is it just ruin the whiskey, or what does it do?
Over the years, several lawsuits have been filed against alcohol makers by residents of different countries to claim that the whiskey fungus not only covers houses, trees, and outdoor furniture with the black crust, but also harms property value and adversely affects their livelihood. When whiskey or any other spirit is kept inside a cask for maturing, a small amount of it evaporates into the atmosphere through the wood. Up to 2% of the alcohol leaves the casks that way every year.
So what you're telling me is this is the most spurious connection to The Last of Us ever, because it's not actually about a fungus that's going to kill everybody. It's ruining ruining some people's ability to sell a shitty house in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Fine.
When it gets worse, there's more. This story is a bit about... So, Japanese police have arrested 3 people over sushi terror, viral unhygienic pranks that are threatening the world-famous feature of sushi conveyor belt restaurants. Last month, a video of a man licking a soy sauce bottle on a sushi conveyor went viral, sparking outrage. In the video, he could be seen squashing sushi dishes at Kura Sushi restaurant branch. Since then, dozens of other videos have proliferated, sparking public concern. Incidences filmed include diners, many of whom are children and young people, spoiling others' orders by touching sushi dishes passing by.
Mingers.
I just would never eat at those places. I just would not.
I mean, it's absolutely wrong. It's something that I kind of always wanted to do, but then coronavirus happened. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm not having my food broadcast to the open air of a restaurant as it comes by. But I think the Japanese police are taking it quite seriously, because the Japanese have a thing about hygiene. Like, they're insane
worse.
for it.
One video emerged last month showing a customer putting wasabi on another's dish while another person licked the presented chopsticks.
Oh,
and another was seen rubbing saliva on passing sushi pieces.
I mean, the wasabi one's quite funny. And that's a proper prank. The saliva, not so much.
No. Yeah. Like, yeah, no, just fucking... TikTok's ruining the world. We need to stop the TikToks. I think that's where this is all coming from.
But you're right, the authorities are taking it really seriously, because obviously they get a lot of tourists coming in, and because they want to try these sushi sort of conveyor belt things.
Yeah.
But yeah, since 2020, it's not my cup of tea.
No. I do like that if you go to Yo Sushi, they just actually bring it to you now as if it's a normal restaurant.
In our local one, they still put it on the conveyor belt, but it goes around really fast, and then it kind of skids to a halt right in front of you, and you have about 10 seconds to grab it before it fucks off again. Like, including your drinks as well. Like, it's like 2 cans of Coke will come flying at you as well.
So when you and Acid Pearl are in Your Sushi and you twat it off your face on cheap wine, it's a real race to the finish to get you.
Oh, could you imagine the video footages of Candy and Acid Pearl doing that?
We need to make this happen for the YouTube.
No, we're the ones doing the pranks, the wasabi pranks.
Marvelous. Remind me never to go eating with you. Right, is that it then, Biggie? Any more news?
That's it, sir.
Okay, so you'll notice, everybody, that it's a long news section this week. That's mostly because Biggie's incapable of editing, but also because there are only 3 of us this week. So, you get more news, more bang for your buck, but we're going to go straight into the Nexus now. And Biggie's talked for long enough, so Candy, what have you been up to this week?
Well, not that much, but what I did watch was I told you like this, Biggie, Pamela, a love story. And this is a kind of documentary in her own words about Pamela Anderson. And it's basically a response to do you remember last year Pam and Tommy came out on Disney Plus? And she
Doodles watched that, didn't he?
I did too, and I really enjoyed it, and I'll get into that in a minute. But Pamela Anderson was famously unhappy about this series coming out because it basically revolved around the sex tape that was released. And now I think that actually that series handled it quite well, and it was quite kind towards Pamela Anderson in that they did present it like, Tommy Lee was a rock star. When this sex tape was released, it just shot his career. It made him look like, an absolute player kind of thing. For him, it was no skin off his nose, but actually for a woman, it did ruin her career. And so for her, it was kind of like reliving this time in her life. So back when the video was released, it was super hurtful. And then 25 years later, whatever it was, this TV show came out about it as well. And for her, it was like reliving it all again. So Pamela, A Love Story is her just talking about the experiences. And a lot of it is very much, it does correlate with the TV show, but it goes... The first thing you see, so the first shot of her is they're filming her from behind. You can just see her head. She's going about her daily life kind of thing. And then they pan round and she's got no makeup on. And she's still like stunningly beautiful and everything. But it's kind of a shock to see her when you're so used to seeing her with, done up in the kind of 90s style and everything. And it's actually
what did she do? What did she do after that tape came out? Because you're right, I don't remember her really doing anything.
So she did. I can't remember so she had a movie out called Barbed Wire, and I'm not sure if that was before or after the sex tape. I think it was after, and it ended up bombing. To no one's real surprise, I don't think, but at the time they did think it was going to do quite well. I think probably it must have been after the sex tape because Pam and Tommy were all over the news. But it's a really nice documentary. Actually, it's nothing. If you know about Motley Crue and you know about the history of Pamela Anderson, it doesn't have any like hot takes. There's no kind of new revelations or anything, but it is literally just in her own words from her perspective, how interviewers used to so at one point she sort of says, I used to say my tits had the career. I was just along for the ride kind of thing. And it goes back through some of the interviews and every single interviewer asks her about her tits. It's just... But the trouble is she goes along with it because I think that she thinks that's how she has to present herself. She has to go along with it. And she was saying, actually, I did feel like the butt of jokes at all times. And I did have other things to say. And I did have messages and I did have charities I wanted to work for. But everyone was like constantly focusing on that. And she's like, in the end, you just get beaten down by it. So, yeah.
It's odd though, because you got things like Baywatch, haven't you, where they're running on the beach and it's slowed down while they're running, particularly with the red suits on, it's just kind of, it was a thing of its time. And it was. I think
even in its time, it was still a bit creepy.
Is it?
But, it talks about her court case as well when they tried to get this. Even her sons say that they wish that she had taken some money because I think it wasn't Playboy. I think it was Hustler. Had actually called her and Tommy to buy the rights to the sex tape. And she said, no, I don't want to sell it. I just want the tape back. It's a personal thing. And it didn't, all these celebrity sex tapes that accidentally get leaked when obviously they don't, they use it to further their career. But she didn't. You can tell that she was deeply hurt by it and it did ruin her career. And it was a holiday tape. And, it was a really personal moment. And you can say what you want about their whirlwind romance and everything. But actually, you can tell that they were in love and doing things that people in love do, and they were young people and they were just having fun, but it was just devastating to them. And they even one, I think, what interviewer was it? Maybe I can't remember, but anyway, they were sort of joking about this sex tape, and she's like, well, why are you laughing? This was devastating to us. But then she just kind of laughs it off again, just because what else can she do? But yeah, no, it's a sweet little documentary, and I think she comes over really well. So she's actually living back in Canada now with her parents. She moved back, I think, before around the time of Corona to look after her parents, and she's just stayed there. And she's just got a really nice little life, and ultimately she's tried to make it work with other partners and stuff, but she said she just can't get over not being able to make it work with the father of her children. So Tommy, she's like, I can never get back with Tommy, but I can never get over the fact that we couldn't make it work either. So she comes over really nice. She comes over really humble and really quite charming and warm, and just with a funny little naughty side. I really warmed to her watching it, but it was cute. Nice little documentary.
At least she finally gets to talk about it in her own words as opposed to having other people talk about it on her behalf.
That's what I mean. I think it's like, regardless of whether she has anything new to say or anything, it was her choice to speak out about it, which is what it should have been in the first place.
Yeah, because she didn't sign off on Pam and Tommy, did she?
She wasn't even told about it. Neither was Tommy Lee. They didn't even know about it until it was coming out. So I think it says also, there's a clip of Tommy being interviewed about it. He's like, yeah, right on, release it kind of thing. I can't wait to see it. And then again, she was super upset by it. She's like, it's reliving the past. It's going back to a time I don't want to remember. And Tommy had texted her and just saying, don't let it upset you as much as the first time round. So yeah, sad for her, but at least she has managed to talk about it herself now.
Yeah, no, good for her. Right, I will go next. So I've been reading a book this week. I'm about halfway through it. And I'm kind of gutted oodles as none, because this is going to be right up his street when I describe the components of this book. So it's called Iron Widow by Shiran J. Zhao, who is they're a Canadian young adult science fantasy writer. The blurb on the back of it basically describes it as, imagine The Handmaid's Tale meets Pacific Rim.
Oh.
Okay.
It's
hyper-feminism with mechs.
Oh, sweet.
So the book itself is kind of it's a rough retelling of the rise of Wu Zetian, who was the Chinese Empress of China in the late 600s, and it's set in. So the book follows a young girl called Wu Zetian, who lives in a nation of Huaxia, which is a futuristic reimagining of medieval China. Which is constantly under attack by alien creatures, Hunduns, as opposed to the Huns.
Yeah. Hundun Wing.
Yeah. Aided by mysterious and unseen gods known as the Heavenly Council, humanity has recovered from a devastating attack ages ago that forced civilization to rebuild. Humans have learned to harvest the bodies of defeated Hunduns to create giant fighting mechas called chrysalises. So this version of China is basically it's hyper exaggerated for what people generally believe China to be, and there is a whole thing where women don't have the best time in China, and so this idea of China as being like it's being destroyed and then kind of rebuilt, and they're in a kind of an advanced. It's like medieval, but more advanced. Like they have technology as well. Women are explicitly in this book chattel. Like it's often it's referred to like women specifically having a monetary value.
Oh God.
There was a lot of talk with Zetian herself having bound feet. So that whole thing where they break the feet and fold them in on themselves, and it's horrendous and painful. The big thing. So the way these chrysalises work, so they're piloted generally by men who can release their chi in the 5 classical Asian elements. The pilots are treated like celebrities by the media and adoring public, but the pilots rely on concubines, who are female co-pilots who supply them with additional chi at the cost of their own lives. So basically, the male pilot is flying this thing, but to do some like the extra powers that the chrysalises have, they need more energy, more of this chi energy than they can supply. So they just drain it from a woman that's strapped to them.
So the women are batteries, basically.
Yeah. There are situations where you get male-female pairings that don't risk killing the concubine. These are called balanced matches. They're rare and treated like celebrity marriages. So even when the female partner is powerful in this world, they are still treated as it's still treated as you belong to the pilot. So the start of the story is Zettin getting herself ready because she's enlisted as a concubine because her oldest sister died as the co-pilot of like one of the top scoring chrysalis pilots, and she wants revenge, and she wants to murder the fuck out of this guy. And it is really, really angry vengeance. Because and what the book does, and I quite like this, is it tells both sides of it. So like Zettin explicitly hates a lot of men because of the way men have treated her. And it's not until kind of halfway through the book she kind of meets a man who defies her expectations in not in a kind of like super ultra romantic kind of way, like cliche kind of way, but he's a man who isn't an animal, who doesn't treat women like shit, doesn't rape women, doesn't attack women. He's a big dangerous person, but only dangerous for like people who wrong women. And so like she then kind of discovers feminism through his eyes, but then he also discovers confidence through her because they become kind of a balanced match. But it's fucking polemic. It's angry. She wants to kill everybody, and it is written for a teen audience. But actually, I think it's fine just marking it as a science fantasy novel.
Mm.
It's unlike like a lot of the Chinese fiction I've read. It's not overly interested in the workings of China, and like at this point, there's no Communist Party of China. This is a different world, effectively. So you don't get a lot of the kind of political wranglings that you get with a lot of Chinese fiction, but you get some kind of descriptions of impressive battles. You find out a lot about the mechas, these chrysalises, and it's a really bizarre combination of things, but it kind of works. And I'm into it. And like, Shiran J. Zhao is a new author. This was their first book. Came out in 2021. It was on the bestsellers list for like 34 weeks. It's like they've exploded out of nowhere, and like before this, like they haven't really done anything. Like they're a cosplayer, they've written stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, they're a cosplayer from Canada of Chinese descent, and yeah, they are killing it. Really, like this book is really fucking good.
When you first said it was like a mix between The Handmaid's Tale and Pacific Rim, I thought, is this going to be one of my movie rewrites one day? Because it sounds like something that...
It's a weird combo.
It is a weird combo, but it kind of works. I mean, that's just like how one reviewer put it on like the praise thing on the back of the book. But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really interesting book. It's definitely a concept I would have never considered. And it's kind of nice to see as well. Like it explores like Zettin's desire for revenge and this kind of pure anger that she has, and it also does frame that as not necessarily a good thing for her.
Right.
It's like killing all the men in the world is not going to help her. It's not going to bring her sister back.
Yeah.
And like she even has things that she'll have dreams where she sees her sister, and her sister's like, keep going, don't let yourself get killed by these people, keep going, and stuff like that. And like for a lot of the first kind of chunk of the book, she's very prepared to die as long as she gets revenge for her sister, kind of thing. But the kind of being in battles and with the Hunduns and that gives her a reason to live. So I would check it out. Check out the audiobook version of it. But it's good. It's not a complicated book, but it's an interesting world that Zhao's written, and I would recommend people have a listen to it or have a read of it.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
So Biggie, do you want to round us off then?
Yeah, very quickly. I've still been playing a bit of COD, Dragon Quest 11, middle of watching Ozark still. But something I did catch up with is season 4 of Unforgotten, which I can't remember if I mentioned this or not before on the pod. But very quickly, it's a British crime drama television series, initially airing on ITV. Been catching up with it on their ITVX player thing.
Yeah.
It basically follows a team of London detectives led by DCI Cassie Stewart, played by Nicola Walker, DCI Jess James, played by not a cowboy, Sinead Keenan, and DI Sunny Khan, played by Sanjeev Bhaskar, as they solve cold cases of disappearance and murder. Each series deals with a new case, introducing seemingly unconnected characters who are gradually revealed to have some relationship with the victim. As the murder mystery unfolds, the emotional ramifications of the crime on the lives of those affected are explored. Just really, really good TV, really well acted. It's received various critical acclaim. One of the actors, Tom Courtenay, won the 2016 BAFTA TV Award for Best Supporting Actor of the first series. Mark Bonnar won the 2017 BAFTA for Best TV Actor for the second series. It also looks into DCI Cassie Stewart's personal life, of the typical but growing conflicts between her immediate family, how the job affects her, etc. So you've obviously got the cold case going on, and then the sort of the drama around the main character. Just really well acted, brilliant stories. All the, those sort of guest actors that they have to come in to play different characters are all really well done. Drive the story along. Thoroughly enjoying it. There's final, or I'm saying final, it's season 5 is available. I think it's actually airing at the moment.
Right.
Which I will catch up with. But it's really good. Each series is only 6 episodes, about an hour long. But the acting and the storytelling is awesome. So good. Really, really good crime drama.
Nice.
Brilliant. All right, short and sweet and to the point. See, I told you, everyone, we could have a longer news section. But yes, that's what we've been up to this week. So let's get into the main topic. So this week, our main topic is to continue awards season, or awards month. We're talking about things that were robbed, things that could have won awards or could have won a specific award that would have it deserved more than something else. And we've all kind of picked one of them at least. I think Biggie's booked 2. Is he?
Oh, just in case.
Just in case. Fantastic. We can get both of them out. And yeah, we're just going to go through them and get a little bit angry about the thing that didn't win, I feel. So let's start off with you, Biggie. Let's rattle out the 2 that you've got.
First up, I've picked Saving Private Ryan. For those that don't know, it's a 1998 American epic war film directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Robert Rodat. It was set in 1994, set in 1944 in France during World War II, and it follows a group of soldiers led by Captain John Miller, played by the fantastic Tom Hanks, on the mission to extricate Private James Ryan, who's Matt Damon, from the war after his 3 brothers are killed in battle. Cast also included Edward Burns, Tom Sizemore, sadly passed away recently, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, or is it Ribisi?
I can't remember.
Our main man, Vin Diesel, Adam Goldberg, and Jeremy Davis. It's inspired by...
Diesel in it?
Yep.
Fucking hell.
It's inspired by the books of Stephen E. Ambrose and accounts of casualties among members of a single family, such as the Nyland brothers. This was a fantastic movie. Have you both seen it?
Oh, yeah.
God,
many
ages ago. Yeah.
I didn't remember that Vin Diesel was in it.
No.
The project came to the attention of Hanks and Spielberg, whose previous successes secured the project's development. This was up against Shakespeare's Love, I think it was.
Shakespeare in Love.
In Love, thank you. Shakespeare in Love. Which, just a romantic drama. It was a clever movie, but wow. How this lost to that is ridiculous. It's just an incredible movie. The fact that the intense commitment to the realism and authenticity by Spielberg's use of shaky camera, handheld photography, and the brutal depictions of violence was shocking even back in 1998. The opening sequence, which is the famous D-Day landing, especially evoked almost documentary filmmaking, creating horror so visceral, it would almost change the way movies were shot. Come Oscar night, although Spielberg picked up Best Director Oscar, his second after Schindler's List, Shakespeare in Love went off with the big top award. the sad thing is that one of the reasons this happened was because the devil himself, Harvey Weinstein, was involved in basically this massive campaign to push it for the Oscars, to the point where it almost changed the way that Oscars awards are won now. He is almost bullying people into voting for it. And in fact, there was Vanity Fair published an extensive piece exploring the Shakespeare in Love Awards season campaign Weinstein orchestrated to get the romantic drama off the radar of on the radar of Oscar voters.
Yeah.
He was bad-mouthing rival films like Saving Private Ryan and engaging in other techniques that have become controversial as the years have gone on.
Yeah, it was, someone from DreamWorks said Weinstein had tried to get everyone to believe that Saving Private Ryan was all in the first 15 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is... it's not the most terrible thing he's ever done, but it's...
No, of course not.
He's down the list of things, but yeah, that was just him, wasn't it? He ruled Hollywood with an iron fist through the 90s.
And apparently when they polled the people that voted back then, given another opportunity, they would have voted Saving Private Ryan as the best picture. So obviously the way that he bullied those voters just shows you it could have had a different outcome had that not happened. And it's shocking. For me, I'm not saying I don't like Shakespeare in Love. It's fine. I have seen it. But the two films are just beyond comparison. I just cannot believe that walked away with an Oscar.
Yeah, I do understand that in hindsight, sometimes you get sort of, some things age better than others. And you can look back and be like, yeah, the other one should have won. But, I mean, come on, when between those two, it's a no-brainer. Again, like you said, there's nothing wrong with Shakespeare in Love. It's just it's a retelling of Twelfth Night, isn't it? Basically, even if it was in the first 15 minutes, even if everything in Saving Private Ryan was in the first 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of that film absolutely topples the entirety of Shakespeare in Love. Even if it says here that.
I was just going to say, it says here that
15-minute film it was.
Yeah, the World War II veterans describes after seeing Private Ryan as depicting the most realistic representation of combat. Another veteran said, I remember when I walked into the lobby of the movie house, not a single person, excuse me, coming out of the showing said one word. Everybody was absolutely stunned by it. I was too. I wasn't about to talk to anyone either. It brought back so many memories that your mind was racing through all the things that happened to you.
Fucking madness. Yeah. I mean that one's one of the classics of this concept, but it still beggars belief, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yuck.
What was your other one, Biggie?
It was Pulp Fiction, and this lost out to Forrest Gump. I mean, Forrest Gump was, for its time, a very clever film. There's obviously a lot of interesting techniques that were used to show Forrest Gump in sort of famous footage, etc. And whatever you think of Tom Hanks' portrayal of Forrest Gump, it was an interesting performance. But the fact that Pulp Fiction just felt like it was so different when it came out. It was Quentin Tarantino's second directorial effort, and the way the story was told from different viewpoints, different timelines, and how all the weird other stuff that went on in that movie, but somehow all gelled and everyone was connected in some way, was just brilliant editing. The performances, Samuel L. Jackson, again, he missed out on an Oscar himself for that, considering that his character Jules is one of the most standout performances from that movie.
In a movie with a lot of standout performances.
Exactly. But it just surprised me that Forrest Gump won that, really. It's, Pulp Fiction, just an incredible movie.
I mean,
if that ever comes on the TV, I will sit and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very similar. And Samuel L. Jackson lost out to Martin Landau playing Ed Wood, the character in Ed Wood. Just, again...
I mean, to be fair, Martin Landau playing Bela Lugosi was actually pretty fantastic in Ed Wood.
It was.
It was very good in that film. One of Tim Burton's best films, in fact.
Yeah, to be fair.
It's one of his earliest films.
Yeah. It's Johnny Depp, isn't it?
It's Johnny Depp as Ed Wood.
Yeah.
I forgot completely about that film.
It's a good film.
It is.
It's back in the days when Johnny Depp and Tim Burton were good.
Mm.
But apart from the overall story and all the actors, again, all the performances with throughout Pulp Fiction, Jules just stands out for me. You can't take your eyes off him any time he's on screen. And of course, the famous performance of Ezekiel 25.17, or whatever you call it, with a Bible verse was just incredible. Almost at one point, everybody could recite that. Everyone's walking around saying that, yeah.
I like you. I think that my favorite moment with Jules is towards the end of the film when they're in the diner being robbed. He's had the morning from hell. He's kind of dressed in like a pink t-shirt and orange shorts or something like that. and Honey Bunny wants to take his wallet, and he's not having it. He's done. He's he's reaching that bag, get the wallet. It says "bad motherfucker" on it, and he's like, he looks ridiculous in the state that he's in, and he's still so intimidating. He's so good. Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah, his whole speech around "say what again," it was fantastic.
They speak English and what? I fucking love that line. Because I know it's Tarantino dialogue, but it feels improvised, and I think that's when Tarantino's at his best, when he can do that quick fire back and forth dialogue. Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good pick, that one. I think I'm one of the few people in the world that actively dislikes Forrest Gump. I really don't like that film.
It's okay. Like I said, I remember watching it at the time. I haven't watched it since, to be fair. I've only watched it once, but it was an entertaining movie. But again, I just don't think it touches Pulp Fiction for what that delivered.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I just don't like Forrest Gump. I find it too saccharine.
Right.
And like the whole idea that Forrest has accidentally been in some of the most historically major events of the 20th century without realizing it. It's just like, come on.
No, I like Forrest Gump, but I didn't realize that was the same year. Yeah, I'd have gone with Pulp Fiction as well.
Mm. Even just the small performances of Travolta, Thurman in Bruce Willis, and the short little story that he has in that. Yeah.
I mean, it's Ving Rhames for me. It's just Marcellus Wallace is just amazing. But right, yeah, brilliant, fantastic choices there. I'm going to go next. So I'm moving away from movies. I'm going to video games because I'm a nerd. And I want to cast your eyes back to the heady, halcyon days of 2021.
Oh, seems so long ago.
Yes, we were all a bit younger then. It were a happier time. Everyone were allowed at the house again. We'll see you, Nan. I want to go to the annual Jeff Keighley masturbatory event, the Game Awards. And I want to talk about the Game of the Year choices there. I weren't happy about them. So, for those of you who don't know, yes, Jeff Keighley runs an awards show, which is supposed to be the gaming version of the Oscars, when in fact it is just a massive advertising campaign, and it's just another E3 where you get a load of reveals, and Jeff Keighley brings on Hideo Kojima to go, look, I've got a famous friend! And he wears terrible trainers. But obviously the big prize is the Game of the Year award. And in this year, the nominees were Resident Evil Village, Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, Psychonauts 2, Metroid Dread, Deathloop, and the winner, It Takes Two, from Hazelight Studios, Joseph Fares game. Now, I think that Metroid Dread had got absolutely fucking robbed for this. And I have thoughts, and I need to point out, this is not me saying It Takes Two is a bad game. I really enjoyed It Takes Two. It's a very good game. It's a fun game. It's not a game of the year, is my point here. Whereas Metroid Dread is. I mean, it shows that 2021 was probably maybe not the best year for games, where if Deathloop is getting nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Because again, Deathloop was
fine.
7 out of 10. It were fine.
Yeah, fine.
But yeah, so I'll go through it. So It Takes Two is one of those kind of traditional Joseph Fares games where it's a 2-player co-op game. You play as Cody and May, and you have to. They are a couple that are in trouble, And their kid, being the way precocious kids are, wishes, and then there's magic, and then they get shrunk down to being toy versions of themselves, while the psychotic Spanish Book of Love keeps trying to force them back together again. And the game is fun. It's a mix of kind of platformer, shooting, and basically, I think every genre. It forces everything together at some point. And it's a really well put together, well performed. I talked about the relationship between the two main characters during Love Month, and yeah, I really enjoyed the game. The thing is, Metroid Dread was incredible. Metroid Dread was the first Metroid game in 20-something years. It was the direct sequel to Metroid Fusion, which was a Game Boy Advance game. That's how long ago it was. It was basically one of the things, because obviously Metroidvanias have become such a staple of gaming for a long time. This one came out and goes, no lads, this is how you do it. It was fast, it was frenetic, the action was great, it was scary at times, the boss fights are memorable and incredible. I can remember every single one of the boss fights in that game because they're so fucking good and explosive and powerful. Samus's movement tech was brilliant. The game feels so good to try and speedrun because you just see you sliding and jumping and bouncing off walls and everything. It's the perfect ADHD game. And it was my game of the year for 2021. And when It Takes Two got the award, I'm like, no, it's a great game, but it's not game of the year. Metroid Dread was legitimately incredible. And yeah, I just feel that Metroid Dread did win the best action game, which, okay, great, but it should have been game of the year. And I know 2021 wasn't, like I said, wasn't the greatest time for games because everything was delayed from the pandemic. So all the good games started coming out in 2022, Elden Ring and shit like that. But yeah, Metroid Dread proved that there was life in this old franchise in a really spectacular way. And it's become a favorite of Metroid fans. Most Metroid fans will talk about Prime or they'll talk about Super Metroid, but now Metroid Dread just went straight into that conversation, near the top of it. It is a universally loved game.
Yeah, I'm gutted that Metroid is a Nintendo exclusive in that sense because I played the original Super Metroid many times, completed it.
Yeah.
I've forgotten how many times. I loved it. And I've never played the first person shooter viewpoint for it. And to me, it shouldn't work. But like you say, from what I've seen footage on YouTube and what other people have said, to say it's awesome. It completely it's the same game but different, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like the same game plus,
Yeah.
Oh, I think I read a review where someone says basically, this feels like this feels like the nostalgia for Super Metroid. What you play of this is how you thought Super Metroid was back in 1992 or 94 or whenever it came out.
I can understand that.
Yeah, it was also the highest grossing physical launch of any Metroid game in the UK. It's sold by the fucking bucket load. In America, it sold nearly 1 million copies in its first month.
Jesus.
Which is impressive for a series that's been dormant for 20-something years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it absolutely got shafted because it is... It was the same with the Golden Joystick Awards that year. It got Nintendo Game of the Year, but it didn't win Ultimate Game of the Year. It was nominated for Action Game of the Year and didn't win it at the DICE Awards. What was it? The British the BAFTA Game Awards. It got nominated for the Game of the Year but didn't win it. So it's just this should have won Game of the Year in a lot of places.
Do you know what's funny is that I almost chose the same awards from the same event, and I was going to say that Resident Evil 8 was the one that got robbed.
I can see it. Resident Evil 8, I don't think it's the best Resident Evil. I loved it. Again, I loved it. But I rate Metroid Dread higher than Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil Village is a great game in itself. But yeah, I can see your logic on that one. But yeah, It Takes Two is it's not Game of the Year. Very good game, but it's not Game of the Year. I cannot have it.
I can absolutely see how that one got nominated for Game of the Year, but yeah, no, I agree with you. But yeah, I would have gone with Resident Evil Village. But I'm not super. Having played It Takes Two recently, not all the way through. That said, about halfway through. I think the way it touches on subject. It's a lot more to being kind of. There's a lot more to it than what would first appear. Like I had no idea of the themes that it would cover going into it. I thought it was just
some places.
Yeah, I thought it was a 2-player co-op game. So when I saw that one game of the year, I was confused, thinking that's all there was to it. But going in, now understanding what it's actually about, I can see how it won. But I think that was a year, like you said, a year of not a great amount of game of the years coming out.
No.
Yeah, I've not played any of those apart from a bit of Deathloop. Goes to show you.
Yeah, I mean, like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, that one being in the game of the year contention, it was a very pretty but very average game.
It was that world blending thing that it does, isn't it? That was probably what put
it was one of those games just to show off what the PlayStation could do, really. But I don't think it added anything to game. I don't think it was like an elite game. It was a very pretty game, but whereas you also had like Returnal, you had Life is Strange: True Colors, you had The Artful Escape. Guardians of the Galaxy came out 2021. There were a lot of games that could have gone better into the game of the year list. Kena Bridge of Spirits, Death's Door, Inscription. Fuck me, Inscription should have got it. That's another one that was robbed at the Game Awards because Kena Bridge of Spirits got the best indie game when Inscription was in there. I have no confidence in Jeff Keighley.
Oh, ouch.
We've known that's been coming for a while. Sorry, Jeff.
The man's just too obsessed with his trainers and his Hideo Kojima fan art.
At least we know what we're getting, though.
Well, true. But yes, so that's my little rant about it. Candy, why don't you finish this one off?
I've got a bit of a twofer on this one. So in 2010, the Oscar for Best Picture was won by The King's Speech. Fine. Right. It's fine. It's a fine film. It's not slagging it off. Film. It's an Oscar bait film. The nominees in that category that year were Black Swan, The Fighter, Inception, The Kids Are Alright, 127 Hours, The Social Network, Toy Story 3, True Grit, and Winter's Bane. Now, from that list, I think 2 films were done out of that award. The first one being Black Swan, and the second one being Inception.
I would say also
Inception on that.
Would say also a third one, Toy Story 3.
Yeah, the only thing with Toy Story 3 is it's been done before. It's not. I don't know if
it was done so fucking well.
It was done well. I just don't know.
It's not the best of the 3, though, is it?
I don't think
it's still the best one.
Well, no, but I would still rate Toy Story 3 above what one. So
yeah. Again, like don't get me wrong. The King's Speech is a good film, but you've got 2 really, really strong films that are original concepts, original ideas, and you're comparing it to something that's an Oscar bait. It's Oscar bait, like you said, and based in fact. Now, when I go to the cinema, I want to be wowed. I want to be wowed visually. I want every sense to be attacked.
Like
or
Dune.
I want... Pardon? Like Dune, yeah. The only thing that was attacked was my eyeballs because it was in 3D. And my ears because I couldn't hear anything. Or a film that's going to be a thinker. I said I go to the cinema to be wowed, but that could be a sort of mental wowing as well. Black Swan is a psychological horror by Darren Aronofsky, and true to his usual form, it plays with your emotions, it plays with your senses, you're constantly on edge, and at the same time it's revolving around these ballerinas that have been performed so well by the cast. They've been in months and months of training. They've dieted down to skin and bone like ballerinas in real life really do. And it's acted so well and it just gets so under your skin. I just don't think you can compare it to a film that is Again, very good, but it doesn't shock you. It doesn't wow you. It doesn't have that, it doesn't have that originality factor that Black Swan is. And the same with Inception. With all Christopher Nolan films, it's such a cinema film. The visuals in that, with the city folding over on itself and going deeper and deeper into different layers of sleep. Again, such a more interesting concept, a more original concept. And the soundtrack on Inception as well is just stunning. And Black Swan, of course, because it's Tchaikovsky as well. I can't think of anything in The King's Speech that wowed me.
It was just two very good performances by both leads. It was a great, well acted movie. But
it was. And there's awards for best actors.
The Inception definitely for me.
The King's Speech to me felt more like a play than anything.
Yeah.
And also, I just really hate Tom Hooper's direction. All those fucking close-up face shots, it just pisses me off. But I mean, I adore Inception. Inception's one of the most wonderful, mind-bending films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Black Swan is incredible. It's so dark and depressing, but it's incredible.
It's so difficult to watch when it's something. It should be so uplifting, shouldn't it? Swan Lake and everything. You think of ballet, and you think of these just stunning dances and everything. But it's so like exploring the real grit behind it, and the calluses on their feet, and their eating disorders, and the constant mental torture from the people that are trying to get the most out of them as dancers.
And kind of teetering into her own psychosis and stuff like that. Because it's been a long time since, if I remember right, isn't Mila Kunis's character like almost imaginary? She's not really there.
She ends up kind of comparing us. It's not so much imaginary as she almost kind of takes on. It's almost like a Fight Club type thing. She almost takes on her persona as her darker side. Yeah, that's what I mean. Because and then it's kind of the way it ends as a result of that. And it just, oh god, it's such a good film. And Natalie Portman's incredible in it. I mean, she's incredible in almost everything, isn't she? But
she's a very good actress. But
the extreme she goes to, and Mila Kunis, that they go to perform in that film, it's just exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, either of those films should have beaten out The King's Speech quite easily by a country mile.
I find it hard to decide who I would choose between those two films as well. Like this question is going to come up when I talk about it.
I think for me, I'll probably choose Black Swan over Inception, mostly because I love Inception. I think Inception is a great film. But Black Swan, when I saw it, that affected me for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good. If I can have an emotional response to a film beyond just finding a sad ending sad, I think that is what kind of picks me as the more effective film. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, but then it's the visual effects of Inception, but then there's an award for visual effects.
There's an award for cinematography and for visual effects and stuff
and then,
like that.
The cinema...
I think the spectacle of Inception, obviously not having seen Black Swan, but the spectacle of Inception, I saw it at the cinema, came out of that mind blown.
Yeah.
Thought the whole thing was fantastic. The acting was great from everyone involved, because that can't have been an easy script to work with. Yeah. To work out exactly where they are at what point in that movie, and it was just brilliantly done. And again, I really wasn't a massive fan of Leonardo DiCaprio either. These previous choices of movies weren't really my bag, but I thought he was fantastic at that.
But that was about the time when Leonardo DiCaprio was coming out as a serious actor. The Pretty Boy days were over, and he was starting to come out with because he also did Shutter Island about a year later.
Yes, I really like that as well.
That was great.
Yeah, and then obviously leading up to him winning Oscars, and I think there was Great Gatsby after that, and he just started doing all these roles that really showed his range.
Speaking of things that have been robbed of awards, he's the ultimate, isn't he, Leonardo DiCaprio? And then the film that he actually did win the award for is one of the weaker ones, I think. It was, I can't remember what it's called. It's the one where he gets attacked. The
Revenant.
That's right, yeah. Oh, no, it was really good, but
that is a movie you need to see either on a massive screen at home, but I saw that again in the cinema.
Yeah, same.
The cinematography was superb, and his performance was fantastic.
He doesn't do that much acting in it, though.
That's it. It's pretty much silent, isn't it? I think they just gave him the Oscar as a token gesture because he deserved it at that
It
point.
did feel that way. Yeah. Should have got it for Wolf of Wall Street.
He should have got it for.
Actually, yeah. I just looked at it because I was thinking that. I was like, did The Wolf of Wall Street win anything at the Oscars? And it didn't. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay, but it didn't win anything.
Didn't get anything for Best Part Car.
Not a scratch.
Oscars 2014. What did it lose to? Because that's got to be interesting. What was it? View by category. So Best Actor was Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club. Best Supporting Actor was Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club.
No, get out.
Kate Blanchett and Blue Jasmine got actress in the leading role. Lupita Nyong'o got supporting role for 12 Years a Slave.
Is it 12 Years a Slave that one?
Was that it? Oh, God. What's it? It's Best Picture, isn't it? Yeah, winner was 12 Years a Slave. But it was also up against American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, and Philomena. So I mean that's a hard year to win in. That's a lot of very good films.
Captain Phillips, yeah, that was a great movie.
I love Her.
I mean, Gravity, for all of its faults, was a really good film as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah,
saw that in 3D.
But yeah, I mean, okay, maybe I got Wolf of Wall Street losing to 12 Years a Slave. I can't really argue with that, can you?
Yeah, but it's a shame it didn't win anything, though.
Yeah,
they should have put it back in the next year, re-released it.
But I think Leo's lost the most Oscars. I think.
Yeah, poor Leo.
Well, I'm sure he'll be comforted by his 19-year-old girlfriend. So.
Absolutely, wiping away his tears with his $100 bills.
Just put in that Woody Harrelson gif from Zombieland. Fantastic. Right, let's get to what the audience has said, because we have a couple of responses. Xenos has suggested that Roger Deakins says the Batman had the best cinematography of 2022 and should have been nominated at the Oscars. And the reason it wasn't is pure and simple. Snobbery.
Mm.
I mean, I agree that the cinematography in the Batman was incredible.
I really enjoyed it.
It was a good film as well, even though it was maybe about half an hour too long.
Yeah.
My arse fell asleep. Lee Davies said Forrest Gump won a bunch of Oscars that the Shawshank Redemption should have got. Hanks winning Best Actor over Morgan Freeman is the most galling.
It's a good shot.
Yeah. And then we've got our own venerable Stig. Says, "Heyo, apologies for not being on this week's show, but I've exams this week and I need to use the time for some last minute cramming in an early night. But because I didn't want to leave the show completely Stigless, I thought I'd write in with my choice for this week's topic. Cast your mind back to the year 2000, a year that featured huge albums at the time, such as 2001, Human Clay, White Pony, Kid A, Stankonia, Hybrid Theory, No Strings Attached, and Parachutes, just to name a few. Now, some of these albums might not be to the taste of the people on this podcast or even our listeners, but on the whole, there's no denying the quality or popularity of these albums and just how breakthrough some of them were for younger artists. No more so than Eminem with the Marshall Mathers LP. Now, Eminem had some initial fame with his previous album, the Slim Shady LP, but it was the release of Marshall Mathers that shot Eminem to the stratosphere, an album that brought out his more mature side and showed a very different distinction between the alter egos Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers. It was a huge album that year, second best-selling behind NSYNC, and today Eminem's second highest grossing album. It was packed with hit after hit and fundamental to the overall success of Eminem. So let's cut to the night of the 2001 Grammy Awards. Eminem had already managed to win 3 awards that night before they got to the biggest award of the night, Album of the Year. All signs pointed towards Eminem scooping up the award. The man himself says he was all but told he was winning. And then the winner is announced. And it's Steely fucking Dan.
Oh, God.
Steely Dan, a band that hadn't been relevant for 20 years, somehow managed to come out of obscurity to pip one of the biggest and most influential albums of the year to Album of the Year. He says, Liz Truss voice, this is a disgrace. So yeah, an absolute BS decision, and it wouldn't be the first or last time the Grammys got it spectacularly wrong. Just look up the history of Grammy fuck-ups and it's full of absolute batshit decisions. I'm going to leave this feedback with one that might possibly make Oodles or Gadget spew. Lionel Richie's Can't Slow Down beat Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA and Prince's Purple Rain in 1985 to Album of the Year, despite the latter two dominating the charts. That kind of...
God.
Nah. Like, if Purple Rain had been Born in the USA, fine. I don't like Prince, but I would get it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure vice versa if Born in the USA. But fucking Lionel Richie, man. Yeah, the Grammys are full of dickheads and they just do weird decisions all the time.
Yeah. And Eminem was just at his peak then. Yeah, should have scooped that.
I mean, the Marshall Mathers LP is like a transcendental album. It was one of the kind of brought people from all genres into rap music. Like, like you know, like you managed to launch careers of like D12 and people like that on that album with their little guest spots.
Yeah.
I fucking love that album. I still maintain the closing song of the album, Criminal, is one of the funniest he's ever written.
Yeah.
You're goddamn right.
I used to be able to sing along to that album as well, like just like start to finish. Like I would listen to it on repeat constantly.
Yeah.
I used to know all the lyrics. It's most of it's gone from me now.
Do you know what? I used to listen to it all. I used to listen to it all the time when it came. So I was early teenager. I can't remember how old exactly, and I'm not going to say either. And you know, everyone's parents didn't want us to listen to Eminem, and I listen to it now, and like, do you know what? I wouldn't let me listen to Eminem either.
No.
It's like they were right to not let us.
The song where he's on a fucking drug trip. That was certainly one of them.
Or chopping up his wife.
Actually, to be fair, I always used to skip over Kim. I really didn't like that song. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bit too dark for me. I was 13 when it came out, so yeah.
Even the skits in between were quite funny as well.
Yeah. There's such a, like, it's like the flip of a coin with Eminem, isn't it? There's like the funny, goofy Eminem, and then there's I'm going to kill everyone Eminem.
I think the Way I Am is aged a little bit badly with him defending Marilyn Manson in it, though.
Yeah.
I always remember that, like, that chorus to Kill You. And it's the way, like, it changes from his rap meter to his little singing thing is, you don't want to fuck with Shady, because Shady will fucking kill you. It makes me giggle every time because it's just such a random turn from his rapping.
Yeah. I bet it's exhausting to live with.
I think apparently he's quite chill now. I think back in the day he wasn't, when he was on all of the drugs in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a good shout, Stig. I'm going to have to listen to Marshall Mathers LP this week. Might stick it as the Patreon end music, just one of the album tracks. That might put Criminal on it, actually, because fuck it, why not?
Yeah. Makes sense, Criminal.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for this week. So if you want to support us, you can go to the Patreons, get access to the green room and to the extra content that we do. Patreon.com/Modern Escapism. It's $5 a month plus VAT. Or you can do the Biggie Bundle and support Do Dragon Streamer, Scorched Sheep, Smash That Glass, and Deep Dive Lounge as well. And that's £7.50 plus VAT a month. And why wouldn't you? I thought you loved us.
Yeah, get your feedback in, you lazy twats.
Stop shouting at them. I'm trying to guilt trip them and you're shouting at them. What's wrong with you, man?
They need it.
It's like being told off by both parents, isn't it? When they're trying to be kind and the other one's horrible.
Oh, God.
Tidy your rooms as well.
Make sure to leave us feedback on your platform of choice, 5 stars or no stars. That's the deal. And you know, if you leave us anything other than 5 stars, I'm going to send Candy's cat round for a good bapping.
Yep.
You won't
Sharpening
survive.
his claws.
But yeah, next week we are doing. We're pulling it forward a little bit early because obviously two of them are off, so we can't really decide it yet. We're doing Patreon's choice next week, so check out the Discord, check out the Twitter. If you're a patron, you'll get the patron post. You get to choose between 4 choices. But yeah, I think this is a podcast. Patrons will meet you round in the green room in a minute for continued chattering and throwing things in fire. But for the rest of you, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Upon this is Modern Escapism. God, I went really Clarkson there, didn't I?
This is Modern Escapism.